Good morning, Dubai. Happy Monday. Is it Monday? Welcome back to the Lovin Daily, where I take you through the top trending stories that everyone in Dubai is talking about. Today, we're going to be talking about the flight ban from India to the UAE has been extended, and this is directly from Emirates. We'll also be talking about Dubai's famous Mango Lambo delivery service. It's back.
And we'll also be talking about those who were found flouting COVID-19 rules and regulations at the super sale this weekend were heavily fined. And Team Angel Wolf's Motorbike plus Sidecar has hit Dubai roads, and it's adorable. We're going to be talking more about that much later. But first,
all of that. However, I want to point out that today is World MS Day. It's a day for people to share stories, raise awareness and campaign for everyone affected by multiple sclerosis. So later in the show, we're actually going to be joined by Derek Krieger, who's Professor of Neurology at MBRU and Chief of Neuroscience at Mediclinic Dubai, working at Mediclinic City Hospital in DHCC. So please, if you have any questions about MS, drop them in the comments. We see you on Instagram, we see you on Facebook, and hopefully we'll get to them later in the show. I think it's going to be a really, really good chat about MS to just raise awareness, particularly for women our age. We just want to get the message out. But before we jump into all of our stories, good morning to you all. How are we feeling? Are we feeling perky?
Good morning. I think we look perky with our
We
colors,
look perky.
like
are we feeling perky?
popsicles.
We don't plan this little...
Looks like watermelon and mangoes, you know, like so summery.
I would have gone
fruity.
strawberry.
Strawberry. Oh yeah,
Strawberry
because
maybe.
you've got the
And lemon.
dots. Lemon.
But yeah, I like
Or
these too.
mango,
Well,
yeah.
mango is very themed because it's mango season now.
I actually dressed for the show. I knew we were going to talk about mangoes today.
Interesting. Did you?
No.
I'm feeling perky, but not. Usually we have coffees on the table.
I know. There's no coffee. Usually you have coffee on the table. How come there's no coffee with you?
Well, I don't usually have it. I always have it on the side over.
Oh,
hiding
yeah,
over
yeah.
there. Because Ali, are you a coffee drinker?
Yes, 100%. I can't start my day without coffee.
What's your coffee routine?
Wake up first thing in the morning, straight black coffee.
I used to be like that.
I love me some black coffee. Like I don't like a frappuccino and none of those. I love black. I used to love frappuccinos, but then I started to drink black coffee, and then I'm like, yeah,
That
I'm sticking to
explains
black
your
coffee.
energy.
Me?
That explains that. Yes, I drink coffee.
Yes, that explains my energy in the morning. I'm so hyper. And then
How many during the day do you have?
I try to limit it at 2 because two cups. Just because for my own health and safety.
For our health and safety as well, Ali.
I think you're on one today. You're just like, I don't know if you're watching Facebook. Can you see Ali? He's on like an extra level. Maybe it's 2 cups before the show, Ali.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Later on in the day, I'll have another cup just just to pick me up.
I'm a 2-person coffee, and I cannot drink coffee after 4. Guys, tell us what's your coffee routine?
I'm gonna
Simran?
start coffee, but please tell us about your expensive coffee haul.
Well, yeah, coffee routine in terms of how many you drink a day, where do you drink them, and how much are you paying? Because I got a coffee this weekend. I'd love to hear your answers. I don't even want to say it. It hurt me so much. I went to like I would never question a bill because I have that that kind of shame that you're like you don't want to be embarrassed for questioning a bill. I looked at her. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" It was like 38 dirham.
Just for normal black coffee?
Well, it was a flat white.
Flat white. I don't know the price range for coffee, so it's expensive for a flat white. Yeah?
Ali, isn't that expensive?
For what?
38
white.
dirham for a coffee.
Jeez. Yeah, it is expensive. Coffee should be cheap.
Maybe it
Coffee,
had gold flakes on it.
See,
Well, they didn't tell me if it did.
the cheaper it is, the better it tastes. That's what I say. With everything.
That's with everything, yeah.
With everything.
That is so true.
I just
I
like when
agree
they have
with
a
that.
little foam on top of it. It's very nice.
Did it have whipped cream, anything extra?
Almond milk, but I think that's a little bit extra. Look, it's 38 dirham. That's
That's
a lot.
ridiculous.
How much do you pay for your coffee? How many coffees do you drink a day? 2 for me is also enough, and I have to stop at like 4 p.m. or else I'm like sitting awake at 12 o'clock at night being like. Do, 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 do.
But was the location really expensive? Because after the conversation we had yesterday, it just opened my eyes on how restaurants price their menu.
Yeah, it was a hotel in Abu Dhabi.
Hotel in Abu Dhabi? Okay.
In a good location.
Oh, okay.
But still, 38 dirham. mental. Let's jump into our first story. Emirates have confirmed the India flight ban is extended until the end of June. Now, I'm very aware this is not the information stranded expats wanted to hear. Emirates have confirmed the flight ban from India to Dubai will continue until June 31. So an update from the Dubai airline was shared to their website yesterday. They said, and actually they have updates on South African flights. They also have updates on Sri Lanka, Pakistan. So if you go on there, you can get all of that information, and we will share it on Lovin Dubai later today. But they said the most recent one was the Emirates India flight ban, and they've said Emirates has suspended passenger flights from India effective, as you know, from April 24 until June 30. And furthermore, passengers who have transited through India in the last 14 days will not be accepted to travel from any other point in the UAE. So also transit travel, because I feel like people are probably looking at alternative options to get from India to the UAE. We've heard about different charter flights, and people are, I'm sure, looking at other countries to travel to. But if it's been the last 14 days, if you've transited through India, you will not be accepted into the UAE. Nearing the end of May now, last day of the month, I think. Another month that's been extended. Simran, I know that you're closely aware of the heartbreaking stories of people who are stuck there. So we really feel for you, and you're praying that even if you are there, you hear that you're safe.
Yeah, I know. They've been stranded they will be stranded for 68 days now, and that's a lot. We had this conversation earlier this morning, and he said this is something we saw last year as well, and so many devastating stories coming in of people, like you said, parents away from their children, people losing their jobs. And I would just want to say, it's not just to India that the travel ban has been implemented, to so many other countries, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Bangladesh. So I would really want, if any companies out there are listening, and CEOs, bosses, anyone, just support your employees the best you can, because it's a hard time for everyone. And I think, as humans, as humanity, the least we can do is support each other in any way possible, because there is no way for a lot of the people to come back. Things have just skyrocketed prices, charter flights, private jets, and that also more restrictions put in place for them. So if we can support them, it's just a great thing to have with you morally and karma.
And it's interesting because obviously supporting people, and I know that this decision, I'm sure, wasn't easy for Emirates to make. It's not easy for governments to make. It's very, very tricky to cut flights. First of all, if you're totally honest, look at the economic benefits. It's not benefiting anyone, but it's a decision they have to take for our health. And with that, Emirates did announce at the start of the month that they had created a humanitarian bridge, which I think is quite interesting. So Emirates, the UAE, standing with India, they created an air bridge between Dubai and India to transport urgent medical relief. They partnered with a lot of humanitarian efforts, and they did it for free, which was kind of like an amazing act of generosity to make sure that even though people aren't able to fly back because of restrictions and because of trying to safeguard our health, they are making sure that the relief is getting there in dribs and drabs. I know that more is needed, but at least they're making the effort to make sure it's getting there from the UAE, which is fantastic.
It's always great. The UAE always sets an example for great leadership and generosity, only for people and entities to follow. So that's just amazing to see.
It's worth noting, by the way, if you are stranded, there are exemptions. I'm sure you've heard about the exemptions for a very, very small few cases. So if you have the UAE Gold Visa, or for diplomats who want to travel, so maybe it's time to sit at home and get applying for that Gold Visa.
Yeah, we've seen so many golden visa holders even coming back on private jets, and of normal passenger flights being the only passenger as well.
That's very hard to see.
That is hard. It's such a waste of, not a waste, it's so many resources being put in. But actually, to be honest, flights from the UAE can go to India. So maybe it's just, when on the way back, the return journey. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's probably not a waste of resources. That's not correct. But yeah, anyway, moving on. Those found flouting COVID-19 rules at the super sale this weekend were heavily fined. Now, inspections were carried out throughout shopping malls, commercial establishments, and open markets, and the Dubai economy issued 56 fines to entities found flouting COVID-19 rules during the Saturday super sale. Now, fines were issued to 32 retailers in shopping malls who failed to implement mask wearing and social distancing, 20 restaurants and cafes for allowing dine-in services to continue after permitted working hours, and 4 open market shops.
Wow.
Now, before I continue and give you guys more information on this, I just want to say, like, over the weekend, I wasn't at the sales, but we were just chilling at this bar restaurant, and when it was time to leave, so usually, I think now the new timing is 2 a.m. for all bars and clubs around Dubai, not clubs, bars.
I'll be up at that time.
But there were so many people while we were leaving at the bar restaurant. There were so many people just like, no, we're not going to leave now, just leave it open for 30 more minutes, 30 more minutes. Yes. And people were going around different, so it was in Souk Al Bahar, and people were going to different venues at Souk Al Bahar and saying, open up, 30 more minutes, 1 more hour, please. And you know, I'm sure establishments have to abide by these rules and regulations, but some customers actually make it so difficult. Like, they get so aggressive and like, you know, just very requestful and desperate for like just that some more time, or that one more drink, or one more, you know, meal, or I don't know, all those kind of things. So
well, this is interesting because we're obviously seeing that although the city is opening, and definitely I was at places this weekend, it feels much more like the city is alive. There's more people out. Restrictions did lift slightly. However, all of those the restrictions that are in place are there for a reason. And as Simran said, like, there are fines still happening, and there are checks constantly happening by the DED. If you look at their Instagram, or if you look at their Twitter, all of those gyms, restaurants, cafes, salons are being constantly monitored. They have to abide by the rules to a T. So if you were one of those people asking for a restaurant to remain open, please be aware that they could be fined severely, heavily for that. So
not just them, you as well. But apart from that, so the social distancing violations were mostly spotted at payment counters and shoppers. And a lot of the shops that were fined were located in open market outlets in Al Barsha, Hor Al Anz, Dubai Marina, and Sais Shuaib. Also, yeah, Dubai is very strict and will be taking the highest safety precautions. So if you are found flouting COVID-19 regulations, just know there is no way out of getting a fine. You will definitely be penalized. So be careful when you're outside. Do keep, like, always wear your mask and keep your social distance. Those are the main 2 guidelines.
Interesting. And I'm sure there'll be more and more updates coming from the DED if people are flouting the rules. Let's move on to our next story. We're talking about the famous Mango Lambo delivery service. It's only famous if you read the news last year at this particular point in time, but it did get a lot of attention. One video went viral that we shared, and also the photos. And I think it's been a minute since we've had a seriously only in Dubai headline until this. So this is a Mango Lamborghini delivery service. It dominated headlines back in 2020, and it is back. So if you're aware that Pakistani mangoes, I won't say they're the best because it's a very contentious subject, but they're absolutely delicious, and it's Pakistani mango season. And if you act quickly, your box could be delivered to your door in a shocking green Lambo. And the service is launching on June 1. And not only will you get the sweet fruit delivered to your door in a car worth 1.2 million dirham, but if you're lucky enough to be able to get your order in for the service, the owner actually gives you a ride. So it's more of like a... They're doing, yes, it's publicity, but also actually the owner, whoever is running it, just enjoys it. So it's Pakistani supermarket, and they'll actually give you a quick ride in the Lambo.
That's so cute. I mean, I can never buy one, so might as well, you know, get it this way. I mean, it just works out.
It just works out, and you have to order, FYI, when they open if you are interested in this, when they open the option for booking this, you have to order 3 boxes of mangoes. So it's a minimum order. I think it's 120 or 150 dirham. So there's a minimum order of 3 boxes of mangoes. But share your mangoes out with everyone.
Should we order some in the office?
100%. I love a
We
mango.
should. And go on a company ride in the Lambo? Just kidding.
There'll only be space for 1, so we'll have to fight it out.
I'll fight you.
I'll win.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Ali's just looking at us. Moving on from one supercar to another.
Me?
Well,
oh yeah, moving on. Not me, but a better supercar. So Team Angel Wolf's Motorbike plus Sidecar has hit Dubai roads. Very exciting. Now, Team Angel Wolf has announced a new initiative dedicated to Rio and other people of determination. Their mission is all about making individuals with disabilities feel included, hence the motorbike. The story behind the motorbike is simple. Now, Team Angel Wolf know their message will be heard by a whole new audience and community throughout the Motorbike plus Sidecar initiative. And on May 26th, Rio had his first ride on the motorbike Sidecar with Nick in the driver's seat, and they drove from the sustainable city to Al Qudra, and along the way they met so many different bike groups, which is exactly the purpose of the initiative. And although Rio is a person of determination, he has successfully completed 10,000 kilometers of racing, swimming and biking within 7 years. That is an impressive number. Massively impressive. And if you guys see the video, we have the article up on our Lovin Dubai website, and if you see the videos on their Instagram or our page, it's just, Casey, look at this, like the smile on his face, it's precious.
And we love to document the Team Angel Wolf story, and what's interesting is they're going beyond what they've done before, which is kind of like endurance feats. And it's always about inclusion, but in this case, I know that they're thinking about kind of going further into potentially like water sports and different types of activities to spread the word of inclusion. So it doesn't necessarily need to be swimming, cycling, even the motor sidecar. They're going beyond that again. And the whole point of Team Angel Wolf is spreading the word of inclusion. So that's what they're doing. And also, I know that they're running community events as well. I know that this weekend they had one. I think it was kind of Get Out and Meet Rio, but I know that we can have more information on that at the when they do that on our lists that go up every weekend. But it's one of those fantastic Dubai stories that we love to follow, because their sense of endurance and spirit and passion for what they do is just bar none.
That is so true. And really just seeing his expression after, his family does so much, and it's just incredible to see the smile on his face. Like every time, it's just like that glowing face, you know, like the happiest kid in the world, and that's what we love seeing, just that smile, and like you said, the spirit. Oh.
But as always, Team Angel Wolf, if you want to follow them, support them, get onto their Instagram, Team Angel Wolf, and you can learn more there. What was that?
But moving on to a doctor.
Yes, a doctor. So earlier in the show, we mentioned that today is World MS Day. And after the break, we're joined by Professor Derek Krieger, Professor of Neurology at MBRU and Chief of Neuroscience at Mediclinic Dubai. He'll be answering any of your questions that you might have, so please drop them into Facebook. I'll keep Facebook open. Stay tuned. We'll be with you right after this.
Bye.
Welcome back to the Lovin Daily. We're joined by Derek Krieger, Professor of Neurology at MBRU and Chief of Neuroscience at Mediclinic Dubai. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kathy. Pleasure to be with you.
We really appreciate your time on this. Today is World MS Day, so we know the purpose is to spread awareness about multiple sclerosis. So with your expertise, let's start from the top. What is MS? What is multiple sclerosis?
Yeah, multiple sclerosis is a scary diagnosis, but fortunately, over the past years, we have developed a lot of tools to deal with it and make it a manageable disease. It is the most prevalent condition, non-traumatic prevalent condition that causes disability in young people. So the peak time of the disease is between age 20 and age 40, 45. However, you can see it in children as well as in elderly adults. It is about 1 in 1,000 people in the population will have MS. So in Dubai, for example, we probably have about 3,000 to 3,500 patients with MS, diagnosed or undiagnosed. And about 50% of those will have some difficulties with their walking within 15 years of the disease. So it is a condition that we probably should address earlier than later.
Well, that's the thing about addressing it earlier rather than later. You say 1 in 1,000 could have it. That's quite a scary statistic, really. What are the symptoms? Because I'm aware that they can be quite vague within some people.
Yeah, that's right, Kathy. It's a plethora of symptoms that you can have because the nervous system can do all sorts of things. So most commonly, You find patients with blurry vision, which is sort of not a very symptomatic disease at this point, but it can also add up in ataxia, which is the inability to make fine finger movements. You can have paresthesias, which are numbness and tingling, or you can even have pain. You can develop bladder and sexual disturbances as the disease progresses. So it's a plethora of symptoms, and you just have to be aware of it. Well, you know, a lot of times when I see patients with the suspicion of MS, it turns out to be nothing, which is good. But you know, the symptoms can be quite non-characteristic, and so you have to have an open mind.
Wow, and this can happen, let's say, for example, it can come on quite quickly or slowly. What age is a point where people should be trying to recognize those as symptoms?
Yeah, they do come quickly. It is nothing that builds up over a long period of time. And it is nothing that really has a lot to do with pain. It's more like deficits, either sensory deficits or motor deficits. So inability to feel or inability to move. It usually comes on quite quickly, sometimes even stroke-like, and it then gets better or it stays like that for a while. And it is, I think, important to see a neurologist or to ask to see a neurologist for a checkup, because the checkup is not that difficult. It consists of a neurological diagnosis, going through the history, looking at some supporting factors, and then do some diagnostic tests, of which the most important one today is the MRI, and it is very, very sensitive and specific for this diagnosis. So we have the tools to make a difference in diagnosing this quite quickly if the patients are aware of it and come and see the specialist.
How does MS occur? Is it transferred genetically, or is there kind of other reasons you may become a patient?
There's a lot of speculation about this. I think, to put this into the most common denominator is that there is a genetic susceptibility to it. And then there are environmental factors, of which some of them may viruses, some of them may bacteria, or some other metabolic factors that actually bring up a sustainable autoimmune response, because that is what it is. It's an autoimmune disease very similar to rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis, and these kind of diseases. And so it is an inequilibrium of the immune system that we need to affect, and we need to balance so that this disease comes to a standstill.
If there are so many similarities, like you mentioned with rheumatoid arthritis, how can a doctor actually diagnose MS?
The similarities in terms of disease comparison with other autoimmune diseases is the motor that brings the disease about. Rheumatoid arthritis is a disease of the joints. MS is a disease of the spinal cord and the brain. So it's a different kind of specialty that is asked to look into this. So rheumatologist sees rheumatoid arthritis, and a neurologist sees MS. So it's a different sort of neurological symptoms, and it leads to a different specialty.
There are different groups of MS. Some people will be affected more than less, I believe. Can you explain the difference between the different groups?
Yeah, it is. There's different kind of diseases. There's diseases that are progressive. So MS is believed to be an autoimmune disease, which is an inflammatory condition. Its inflammation is going on. The immune system is involved, but it also has some degree of degeneration, which is something like, worst case scenario, something like Alzheimer's disease or amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, Lou Gehrig's disease. I mean, these kind of things are degenerative diseases. So MS has both of these features, and it usually starts out at the young age, very much inflammatory, relapsing, remitting with severe symptoms that then abate. And then later on, there is this transition into the degenerative condition where it gets worse with every month, every year. And this is the part of the disease that is more difficult to treat then the inflammatory firework of inflammatory disease relapses that occur early on.
Let's say it's been a difficult year for everyone with COVID. Are different groups of MS, people with MS, more susceptible to getting COVID-19?
I don't think so. I mean, we have, if we look back into other flu, influenza, things like that, I mean, this is not really an issue in patients with autoimmune diseases. However, if they're being treated with disease-modifying agents, which we do these days, then they are more susceptible to getting the virus. However, because their immune system is somewhat dampened by these immune-modulating treatments, the disease is usually not as bad. So it's a wash. I don't think that COVID had a big impact on MS patients or on those on MS treatments.
Are females more susceptible to MS?
Yes, it is. It's about a 3-to-1 ratio. So 3 females and 1 male. It is not known why this is, but it is interesting to see that pregnancy is sort of a security factor. So during pregnancy, MS is usually silent, and after pregnancy, it then gets very active. We don't know why. I mean, the estrogen is obviously a modulating factor or maybe a triggering factor, but we don't know the details of this.
Wow, so can MS patients plan for a family?
Yes, they can. They definitely can. I have some patients, as a matter of fact, who got pregnant, during like a 5 to 10 year period, and the disease was completely stable. There was nothing that they need to do about it. And then afterwards, when they decided to not have any kids anymore, the disease became active, and then it needed to be treated. I don't say that you should get pregnant if you have the diagnosis of MS as a woman, but what I'm saying is that you should not feel, in any way handicapped in not being able to have the family that you wish to have.
Let's speak a little bit more. What's the best ways for MS prevention? Are there ways to prevent it?
Well, we don't know exactly what's causing it. What we do know is that UV exposure and vitamin D plays a role with it. And we know this because in the early days when MS was diagnosed, it was more prevalent in the northern latitudes than in the southern latitudes. And we thought it had to do with the UV light or the vitamin D, a little bit like rickets at the time. And there seems to be something to this. But we found other factors too. For example, smoking and obesity are risk factors for multiple sclerosis. I don't know in what way we should avoid this, but obviously it's a little bit like with all of those degenerative diseases of our modern societies, atherosclerosis, heart attacks, strokes, and all of that. Yeah. Exercise is a good thing to do, and being obese is a thing to avoid. So in terms of other specific dietary measures, I don't think we know this yet, other than the vitamin D.
That kind of leads on to my next question, which is, for people with MS, is there a specific lifestyle they should live by? Are there, along with the kind of, I guess, the obvious, which is health and exercise, are there things that they should be doing more of? And are there things that they should be doing less of? Yeah,
MS still has, even in the modern societies, it has a little bit of this taboo. This is when you talk about it with your parents or with your grandparents, and MS really had a mystical status, in those days, because there's nothing you could do. Now it has become a manageable disease, like arterial hypertension or diabetes. Who would not see a doctor for diabetes and not get treated with insulin if necessary? And I think the same applies, to the attitude that people should have towards multiple sclerosis. So if you're diagnosed with multiple sclerosis recently, you should get an opinion, maybe you should get a second opinion, and then you should actually ask yourself, what should I do now in terms of medications, what is it that I should do? And you should discuss this with your doctor, what best suits your profile. and you're planning for a family, for example, your age and all those associated factors. And in terms of what you can do yourself is that you, first of all, see your doctor, follow the recommendations if they click with you, and then, be persistent in that. It's very important that, if you have high blood pressure, you got to take your blood pressure medicine every day. If you have multiple sclerosis, you have to do something that affects this immune modulation every day. And if you don't do this, then you actually may actually end up making the disease worse than it is in the first place. What you can do yourself for it in terms of exercise and nutrition and wellness is something that, you do for all of these conditions. You don't want to be stressed. You want to take times out, and all of these things affect the immune system. We know this now. We don't know in what way it actually causes MS or makes MS worse, but we do know that all of these factors, living a happy life, do have a positive impact on any kind of chronic disease.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Before we leave you, today is World MS Day, and this conversation is hopefully a tiny way to spread awareness. What other measures can we do to spread awareness for MS?
Well, I think we're just starting to do this. What you're doing with your outlet needs to be done with multiple other outlets. It is a disease that needs to be tackled the same way that we tackled MI and stroke, and we have come a very long way. There is 2 million people out there with multiple sclerosis in the world, and that's a very high number. And it is so easy to diagnose, and it is so easy to come to terms with it and then do the right treatment and make your life better. And this is why things like MS Day are so important, and we really need to emphasize on this and spread the message among all of those young people at the peak of their lives.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much for that insightful chat, guys. That was Derek Krieger, Professor of Neurology at MBRU and Chief of Neuroscience at Mediclinic City Hospital in DHCC. We really, really appreciate your time. Guys, if you have any questions, drop them in and maybe we can get them answered later. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kath. Bye.
Bye-bye.